I've got exams tomorrow. I thought. I had promised myself I'd get a good night's sleep, yet I'd woken up in the middle of the night for no reason. Bloody sods. What time is it anyway? I looked on the clock. It was 3:20. That wasn't too bad, I suppose. I had about 4 more hours of sleep. I tried to drop off again, but my brain just wouldn't settle back down. I closed my eyes tightly. I laid on my back, chest. I sighed. Got into every position I could think of. I just couldn't get back to sleep. This was too much. I needed to be ready for my exams. Frustrated, I grabbed my iPod and set it to the lowest volume possible, so that the blue bar wasn't even visible. After all, I didn't want to wake everyone else in the house up. I connected to YouTube, searching relaxing music, and clicking on the first decent-looking thumbnail I saw. I placed the iPod on my pillow and put my ear over the speaker. It started off nice enough. Harps and violins playing softly while the piano made a continuous, slightly repetitive tune. I was actually starting to sink back into a happy slumber once again. Just then I heard a noise. Barely anything. Just what sounded like a slight scratch on the wall. Any other time I would have taken no notice. It was right at that moment I felt something. There was an overwhelming sense of evil filling the room. Impossible to describe. A sensation of hell and hatred. You would imagine Satan be like, if that makes any sense. Although there was nothing to see, I could just feel the presence in my room. A presence of pure evil. I was still in the state of semi-consciousness, but I can only describe it as somewhere between being asleep and awake. I still couldn't move. It was as if my mind was awake, but my body wasn't. I felt fear like no other time in my life. Sheer terror and nothing else engulfing me fully. Just as I was about to scream, I stopped. There was a hand coming around the door, followed by heavy, raspy breathing. Everything was dark and I could hardly see, but the hand I saw appeared to be that of a shadow. Yet somehow it seemed to be made up of substances. It continued to wrap its bony fingers around the door frame, and eventually the door started to open. The figure standing before me was hazy in my half-opened eyes, but in the blackness of the room, I could definitely see it. Dark gray and draped in a long coat with a hood. I couldn't see a face, just long tangled gray hair. For whatever reason, I had named it, and I knew the gender. I called it the Hag. It sounds ridiculous, I know, almost comical now that I say it. But there was something in me which knew this. For some reason it seemed obvious at the time. Again, I tried to scream, but as I did, she proceeded across the room and came towards me. The next few seconds I can't recall, and soon she was sitting on my chest with her hand around my neck. I felt like I was being suffocated. All I could hear was her breathing in my ear. She was whispering something. I couldn't make it out, but I knew it was something evil. I tried so desperately to move, concentrating all of my energy, using every bit of my strength to move an ankle, a finger, anything, for I felt that if I were able to do that, I could defeat this being. She was kneeling now, crouched down and hunched, crushing my ribs and compressing my lungs. Her hand was tightening its grip on my neck. I couldn't breathe and I felt ready to die. I thought I was dying. I started to have this internal conflict. I couldn't let myself be consumed by this evil. I didn't want it, yet there was nothing I could do to escape. But I couldn't let this happen. I wouldn't be taken by it, but hope in life was being drained out of me. I had to win. If I could do even the smallest thing, I was certain I was going to survive, yet how could I? Suddenly, I saw a pair of eyes staring at me, glowing, emerging from behind the curtain that concealed my wardrobe. They were bright white, with no pupils. They seemed to belong to some strange, horse-like creature. And they protruded from his head like light bulbs. I also felt another presence behind me, something cold and malevolent. It was making the same scratching sound I had heard earlier, louder though. In fact, it was as loud as the breathing of the Hag on my chest. I swore I felt scratching on my head. There was pain, but not like normal pain. It felt real, but also not. It was almost as if I could see the pain rather than feel it. I could not fight anymore. I gave up, and as suffocation came, it all stopped. I opened my eyes fully and sat bolt upright in my bed. I breathed deeper than ever and slowly drew my hands up to feel my neck. Nothing. I hastily looked around the room and all I saw was darkness. I was alive. It was so strange. A second ago I was about to die, and now I was fine. I remembered everything, and it was definitely not a dream. it was half and half. I've had similar experiences since, though not for many years. But life has never been the same since. I mean, every time I close my eyes, I picture that same scene. I don't know whether it was real or not, and I don't think I'll ever have any way of knowing. But what I do know is that sense of evil I felt was the worst thing anyone could ever endure. And I hope to God that it never happens again. Though the possibility is always going to be there. It's an odd thing to be afraid of the past, isn't it?